that was the big transformation. I mean, we all need someone to strongly influence our values and beliefs, whether it's from the media or from people, which I think I failed in all that areas, getting good values and beliefs. So eventually the Bible has started to steer me towards the right direction. Became my compass for me to have right values and beliefs as well. I think one of the big thing that I learned in the Bible is about Luke chapter 6. It says about forgive your enemies, do good to those, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, and pray for those who mistreat you. I mean, love your friends, love or forgive your enemies can, but love your enemies is quite deep. But I think that really helped me to resonate. I get to a point of time I wash the feet. I mean, washing is kind of a practice ritual, that was done in the Bible by Jesus. Yeah, so I actually washed the feet of those who killed my friends in
It's
prison.
to symbolize humility
And
and and affection, and to show affection to the other people.
yeah,
So I think the context in this, like the whole story, you just give our listeners a bit of context, is
yes,
when Jesus washed the feet of his disciples, is to show that he, as like a king, so much like royalty or like stature, right, will still come down to wash the feet of people who serve him.
yeah,
And a lot of people think it's humiliating,
yeah,
but for him is to show that you want to lead, you must first be the example to be a servant.
yeah.
So
And
that's the
he
context.
knows that one of them he's going to betray him, which is Judas. And he
Mm.
still washed Judas' feet in spite of him knowing that he's going to betray him to do. So that is really remarkable. Yeah.
Mm. So that happened in prison.
Yeah, I mean, that happened in prison, and it was quite a life-changing moment for me. I mean, not just to forgive, but to be friends with your enemies and things like that as well. Those who became Christians, so it was easier because they understand
Yeah.
change and all. Right. Watching the film was quite an interesting experience. Not just for me. I think there was one time. It was such a big event in prison where a popular Christian in Singapore. His name is Mr. Jason Wong. He is actually was the second in highest in the whole prisons last time, and he went down once to bring some of the high officials, including judges from the courts who are Christians, and make them go to prison and wash the feet of inmates.
Whoa.
And that was such a huge revolutionary moment that a lot of people start to become Christians after that. And it was so powerful in that moment that they banned washing of feet altogether forever.
What?
Yeah. And Mr. Jason also left the prisons, eventually.
And then it's like, stop converting people into Christianity. Like, what are you doing?
Stop washing
It's
their feet.
satanic. It's not.
They can wash their own feet.
But he is amazing because he comes on Sundays to chapel as well, even though it's like the second highest in the whole Singapore prisons to preach and to minister as well.
So that's very
So
interesting, right? Because
yeah,
in the Christian circle, we have these role models or pastors or examples that we look up to, and I think like having this whole having an example, having a role model or a mentor. Or a coach that you look up to is very important, because now with TikTok and with social media, who do the young people or even the millennials, who do we look up to? We look up to, like what you mentioned, the social media gurus, these people. But do these people have good values? We don't know. And what kind of values are they passing down? We also don't know. We just know, okay, if we admire everything they do, and then when they do something wrong, right, we curse them for it. That's why there's so much hate and cyberbullying on the media, right? They have to
And they
be
get
that
cancelled.
perfect. Yeah. They cannot be imperfect. They have to be perfect. And a lot of people, like the way they look at Instagram is, because they accept that the false, like the perfect version, like when we put out the perfect version of ourselves, then people will like us, right? So it's all for the likes. Yeah, at the end of the day. So I think having that reminds me that having a good role model, like in the flesh, I feel
yeah,
is pretty important. Yeah, to see how this person can be like imperfect, can fail, can what kind of values in terms of family, in terms of work ethics, and that this person has that you can model after. And then for you, I guess it was Mr. Jason who had that lah, who inspired you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, he is one of the main person to have inspired me.
And after that, that's when you took your certs and started to like, I wouldn't say change, but like make the right choices. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, I started studying slightly before my values. I mean, when I started Go Chapel, I started to think about studies much earlier. I mean, part of the reason also is because of my mom, and she played a big role. I mean, she never give up on me in my years of my life. When I was prison, she always visits me. So, she also lives an embarrassing life because, outside there, she can't even go for functions without having people to judge her, knowing that her son is in prison. So this got me thinking, lah, I should bring her pride in her life by, for once, readjusting my life, lah. So I think she has been a bit motivated in my life as well. So, and having all that thoughts, I think one of the biggest way to come back, or to, to make a right change is education. Last time when I was in school, I failed out. I was in school for about 7 years when I was in secondary, because I was in sec 3 for 3 years. I love my sec 3 class so much, I don't want to leave the class.
But they all
Right.
left, right? No, or everybody stayed also.
uh what do you mean everybody? Like
Because
who?
you left your
Everybody
sec.
graduated, but you
Yeah.
still stay in the same class.
Yes, that's why. So my sec 1 already come to sec 3, I still in the same class.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Okay.
eventually I went to sec 4, but I couldn't complete because it was too different for me. So I dropped out, and got to do odd jobs, my life was totally meaningless at that point of time. So going back in, and I realized education would not just bring me stability, but also bring me respect that I lost in my life, lah. So I know I want to do this very importantly, lah. That's why I went back and did my N levels, O levels, A levels, all in prison.
Mm.
Yeah.